and just run games that person hasn't got a clue of what's going on.
Exactly.
What you can't do is run a game on an ex-drug addict, because they've already ran that game before you was even born.
Yeah.
All right? So the individual that you need to get is like you and me. We did time. I did 40 years on one stretch. I got a bachelor's degree. I've been around the block. I came out onto the street, became a paralegal. All right? There's nobody can better, as far as I am concerned, help rehabilitate a person than myself.
Yeah.
You want to keep your kid out of jail?
Yeah, we know what to do.
I can keep him out of jail because we know how to reach this kid.
And where to go.
And where to go, and the directions to direct this kid in. And they trust us more than they trust you.
Well, what I like about the book, and and it's not because, well, you're one of the authors in the book, is we took Walpole and we went from the most violent prison in the country to the most tranquil overnight, and we ran it. There was one point where they said you were running it from the inside, and I was out outside in the warden's office running it from the outside with all our buddies. That this is what we went about for 40 years. Okay, and we did programs that worked. Echo that Winnie Russell and I ran. Our return, our
rehabilitation works.
Okay,
that's the bottom line.
83%
Rehabilitation
of
works,
out of prison.
but you need people that are trained in rehabilitating people. Drug addiction. It's like in the prison system. We have a drug block. All right, you put prisoners in there that are drug addicts, and you do urine tests. And you do a urine test on this one individual, and he tests positive, and you throw him out of the drug block for being a drug addict.
It doesn't make any sense.
Because idiots are running the prison system. You think he's not using drugs in the other part of the prison?
Right.
The guy has a drug problem.
Right, he's gonna get
He's
the drug.
demonstrating it to you. Now's the time to sit him down and say, hey, listen, that ain't going to fly.
It doesn't work.
But the problem is the people that you generally have running those programs don't have the experience, don't have the knowledge. What you need is ex-offenders. Who you're not going to, listen to me, you are not going to use drugs and sit in front of me or talk to me, and I'm not going to know that. There are certain things about use of drugs that you pick up on, Right. There is no way you're going to bullshit me that you're not high. And when you talk to me and you have that psychobabble from Coke, you can fool this person over here, and the glare, and you can fool that person over there, but you're not fooling me, and I'm going to call you on it, right? That's what you need in there, but they're not interested in that. See, we can set up a program and a concept that a person can come into prison, we could put them through all kinds of training stuff, bring them up to the end, bring the parole board in, and connect this guy up, bring them into the community, connect them up, bring the community into the damn prison.
You need to.
The community has to come into the prison.
Involved.
97% of the people are coming back to the street. How do you want them in your community? Worse than they went in? Because that's what's happening.
I think unfortunately now, though, with the wave of reality shows, is they're showing us pieces of the prison inside right now, but they're showing us the violence and the negativity, and it's very pro-system, and it's like, look, we caught it here, look, we caught it here, and they don't show anything good, they don't show anything positive, and they don't show anything that works.
This is why
because they can't. Listen.
This is why, again, this is a dangerous book. I never thought this would
it's bad from Walpole. They won't allow it in.
Yeah, Walpole can't get it in or anything.
Department of Correction won't allow that in the message.
This showed, historically showed, look what could happen. Community was involved, 1,700 volunteers. This is my part where
outside observers
we had in here and everything else like that. Communities were involved, everything was involved, just like holistically, like we're talking about. If it wasn't for the lady who kept her notes, Phyllis Ryan was a wonderful. And if you want to read a book, Father's Book of the Week is
and all the observers
blaming the victim. Dr. Bill Ryan's book, Blaming the Victim. Phyllis Ryan was his wife, She kept the notes on all the stuff that Jamie put
And
together.
every one of the observers, when they went off duty, had to write a
Had to write a
report.
report.
And that's what the book
Which
is based on.
Right.
So, like, and what's going to happen is all these reports are going to be put into Boston University. They're going to be put on computer so that people will be able to have access, so that you don't have to just believe what we're telling you. You can go online and read it for yourself and hear what outside observers. These are citizens
Right.
who came into the prison, got between us and the guards, and said what they saw each day. All right? And that's what this book is based on.
And of course, we have hopefully we'll have 3,000 Years in Life was the movie that did part of that.
It's going to become part of this
It's going to be
book.
part of the book, which is the visual. But here you see is talking about programs, what people want to do, giving them hope. This is inside to train them so that you could do the other unit with the parole, bring them on the street. And the programs that were, Delancey Street is Carl Menninger, the Menninger Clinic, for anybody who wants mental illness, drugs. Carl Menninger said that Delancey Street was the best, not only the best program in the country, he thought it's probably the best program in the world for rehabbing people who have gone down the wrong road, both with drugs or criminality. And they've proven.
Father, we could set up a program. We could set up a re-entry concept, all right, and set up things inside the prison so that when people come out and you bring in the community into the prison, that we could radically reduce the prison population, rehabilitate prisoners, and get them on a different road. But it's not going to happen because the institutions do not have a vested interest
Right.
in doing it. This is the forefront, you know. And what's happening is we're not being smart on crime. We're being extremely stupid.
I know it.
Walpole Prison,
I know you were
68% of the people that go out are coming back.
going back. And they're
They're
going to
go out, rape, rob, and plunder your
Right.
community.
Exactly. It's happening every.
And you can't stop that. They're coming out worse than they went in.
Right.
The community has to get up and say, enough. Enough, no more.
Just like they did this election.
Hopefully that's going to open those kind of doors. People are starting to get together and say, hey, listen, we're all together on the same planet.
Community has to be involved.
Absolutely.
If you read the justice concept of corrections in Connecticut, you would think what we're saying is what it's about.
Yeah,
But it's
no.
not implemented, and it's not done, and you have the answer why. They do not know what they are doing. They are not the experts. They're trying to be, but they don't know, and they don't want the experts involved.
Department of Corrections deal with custody and security, and that's the only interest that they want to have in corrections, because that's the easiest thing to do. You build a wall, you put guards in a tower with guns. I mean, what's the problem? Custody and control, what's the problem? Your job is not to let anybody escape. Your job is to not let people get killed inside of your prison system. And your job is to rehabilitate the people that come into your system.
And keep
And
property
you're not doing
values
none of it.
up.
None of it.
People escape, people get killed, and people are coming back and back to the prison system because you're not rehabilitating
So you're
them.
not doing one thing.
So we're losing.
Well, so my question is here, they let me out. They let me out. I'm not trained, and I got to pay them $100 a week. And I never had to go do job developing myself to find a job. And I'm scared to death of going in and asking somebody for a job because I got to tell them I'm on parole and I'm a
Yeah,
criminal.
because you're at it
You're
for the
going
last
back,
5
you're
years.
going
Yeah,
to go back to
So
your
what am I
old
gonna do?
behavior patterns to survive. You're going to go out and rob.
I'm going to go get my gun.
You're going to get a gun.
It's easier.
Or whatever.
And
You're going
say,
to go out in
"Stick
the
'em up."
street and you're going to commit a crime.
Yep.
We're not being smart on crime, we're being stupid.
And we're forcing people to
we're
do
setting
that.
aside.
We're
Absolutely.
setting, with the current programs, the way they're run right now, is we're setting the individuals up. Go get a job. You've got to be kidding me. I've been 3 years, and number one, there's no job, but I can imagine, even at McDonald's,
But
I'm
here,
going to
just
go into
take this,
McDonald's and say, well, I just got out of the joint, and I'm a drug addict, and I've been in there for 3 years, and I want a job.
But that's not the average census. In
No.
your state prisons, you're talking 5 years or more.
State prison.
A guy that's been in prison for 5 years, when he comes out, the world he knew is gone. How does he adjust to that? Nobody's there to help him to adjust to that, he's coming back to prison.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree, but we're hoping there's going to be change.
Well, I would like to have Bobby back again.